The mysterious stranger in the mirror. Chapter 1. The reflection that wasn't mine. Maggie had always been a creature of habit. Every morning, she woke up to the shrill beep of her alarm, followed by a quick shower, a cup of coffee, and the usual morning ritual of glancing at herself in the mirror. It was something she never thought twice about, but one morning, something changed. As Maggie stared at her reflection. Brushing her hair absent-mindedly, she noticed something strange. The woman in the mirror was smiling. Not the simple, neutral reflection she was used to, but a deep, knowing smile that was not hers. At first, she thought she might be imagining it, but when she stopped moving, the smile stayed. A chill ran down her spine. "Who are you?" she whispered, though she knew the reflection couldn't hear her. But the woman in the mirror didn't respond, only smiled. It wasn't possible, Maggie thought. It was just a trick of the light, or maybe some odd quirk of her tired mind. Still, she felt uneasy as she turned away from the mirror, shaking her head. But as she left the bathroom, a question lingered in her mind. What if it wasn't just her imagination? Chapter 2. The stranger returns. The next day, Maggie found herself avoiding the bathroom mirror. She didn't want to see that strange woman again. But of course, she had to face it sooner or later. As she brushed her teeth, her eyes unwillingly flicked toward the mirror. To her horror, the woman was back. This time, she wasn't just smiling. The stranger in the mirror was mouthing words. No sound came, but it was clear the woman was speaking. Maggie leaned closer, her heartbeat quickening. She could see the stranger's lips moving, but she couldn't make out the words. Frantically, Maggie wiped her hands on her towel and tried to look away, but the image in the mirror wouldn't fade. The woman in the reflection seemed to beckon, her hands waving, urging Maggie to come closer. "Stop it," Maggie muttered to herself. "This is insane." But she couldn't stop staring. She was drawn to it, almost hypnotized. In a flash of terror, the woman's face contorted into a grotesque expression. It was as if the mirror was no longer a reflection, but a window to something darker. The stranger's eyes locked onto hers, and this time, Maggie felt a voice, not in her ears, but in her mind, whisper, "You can't escape." Chapter 3. Unraveling the mystery. Maggie couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was as if the woman in the mirror had followed her out of the bathroom, lingering in the corner of her vision. The next few days were a blur of dread. She avoided mirrors whenever possible, but she still felt the stranger's presence. That Friday, Maggie decided to take action. She couldn't let this strange phenomenon control her life. Determined to get answers, she began researching. She searched online for stories of haunted mirrors, psychological conditions that could explain what was happening, and anything that might shed light on her situation. She found nothing. But then, while reading a forum on obscure supernatural phenomena, she stumbled upon a single comment buried deep in a thread. The comment mentioned something about reflections that aren't yours, and warned of a legend that had been passed down for generations. According to the post, mirrors could sometimes act as portals to alternate realities or dimensions. The stranger in the mirror, it said, was often a reflection of a soul trapped between worlds. The words sent a chill down Maggie's spine. Could this be what was happening to her? Chapter 4. The message in the mirror. As days turned into weeks, the woman in the mirror became bolder. She no longer waited for Maggie to approach. Instead, she appeared unbidden whenever Maggie glanced at her reflection. The strange woman's expressions grew more urgent, her hands gesturing wildly, trying to communicate something. Maggie began to feel the pull. It wasn't just the mirror. It was as though the stranger was drawing her in, forcing her to listen. And then, one day, the stranger finally spoke. Her lips moved as Maggie's eyes locked onto her, and though there was no sound, the message was crystal clear in Maggie's mind. Asterisk, I need your help. Asterisk. Chapter 5. The dark truth. The revelation left Maggie reeling. Was this some sort of hallucination? Was she losing her mind? But the intensity in the stranger's eyes was too real to dismiss. Desperate for answers, Maggie returned to the forum and found the thread again. This time, she scrolled through the comments. Looking for more information, one user had posted a link to an obscure book titled Asterisk The Reflections of the Lost Asterisk, a text that supposedly contained the secrets of mirror worlds. Maggie ordered the book immediately. When it arrived, Maggie devoured its contents. The book detailed the ancient belief that mirrors were gateways to another realm. A realm where souls wandered, trapped in reflections, unable to escape. The stranger in her mirror, it seemed, was one such soul trapped between two worlds, seeking help. The only way to free the trapped souls, the book explained, was to make contact with them in a way that bridged the gap between the dimensions and exchange, a pact of sorts, where one soul might swap places with another. Maggie felt a mixture of fear and pity for the stranger. Was she truly trapped? Was this woman begging for Maggie to save her, or was there something darker at play? Chapter 6. The decision. Maggie couldn't escape the thoughts of the stranger. Every time she glanced into a mirror, she saw the woman's eyes, pleading, desperate. It became impossible to ignore. One night, as the moonlight bathed her room in an eerie glow, Maggie stood in front of the mirror. The stranger was waiting, standing just behind her reflection. This time, the woman wasn't just smiling, her face was filled with terror. Asterisk, help me. Asterisk, she mouthed, her eyes wide with fear. Maggie's heart pounded in her chest. Was this the moment she had been waiting for, the moment she could finally free the stranger, or was this just the beginning of something far worse? In that instant, Maggie made her decision. She had to know the truth. She couldn't live with the uncertainty any longer. Taking a deep breath, Maggie reached out and touched the glass. Chapter 7. The swap. The moment Maggie's hand made contact with the mirror, everything changed. A cold, piercing wind swept through the room, and the world around her seemed to shift. She felt herself being pulled forward, her reflection warping, distorting into something unfamiliar. Then, in the blink of an eye, everything stopped. Maggie opened her eyes, but she was no longer in her room. She stood in a strange, shadowy landscape, where the air was thick with mist and the ground beneath her feet was cold and unyielding. And in front of her was the woman, the stranger, no longer trapped in the mirror, but standing in the physical world. Maggie gasped. Who are you? She asked, her voice trembling. The woman's eyes were wide with recognition, and for the first time, she spoke. I am you, she whispered, her voice echoing in Maggie's mind. Chapter 8. The mirror's price. Maggie's heart skipped a beat. What did the woman mean? Was this some kind of trick? Before Maggie could process the revelation, the world around her began to crumble. The ground shook, and the mist thickened into a swirling vortex. The woman reached out, but Maggie stepped back. No, Maggie said, her voice hoarse. I don't want to trade places. I didn't mean a ... The woman's face twisted into an agonizing expression. It's too late, she said, her voice becoming hollow and distant. You were always meant to take my place. You broke the seal. The world around Maggie began to collapse, the edges of reality folding in on themselves. The last thing she saw was the reflection of her own terrified face staring back at her from the darkness. And then everything went black. Epilogue. The reflection that was always there. When Maggie awoke, she was back in Her room, standing in front of the mirror, but there was something different. The reflection wasn't hers. It was the woman, the stranger. And as Maggie reached out, she could see the fear in her own eyes, trapped forever behind the glass.